to another video. FNAF 22 here with... Why is that window open? That's so scary. I'm just gonna close that window if you don't mind. Anyways, guys, welcome back to another of your guys' favorite videos. Another stupid lock. This window is race something. I don't know. That's good for now. Anyways, guys, back to one of your favorite videos, Security Breach. Yeah. Psych. We got some more updates on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. By the way, this is not the real cover, but I mean, hey, that's pretty epic if it is. So, Scott Cawthon has finally chose a screenplay and is giving us the release date of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So, let's jump straight into a bunch of his, Reddit tweets or whatever. Bad news about the FNAF movie. Hey everyone, before we get started on the bad news concentrating the state of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I wanted to share a brief history of the FNAF screenplay. It's been a long road, so let's take a look at some of the screenplays that have come and gone over the years, in no particular order, or feel free to skip to the end really quickly to see the bad news and then come back and enjoy the list. Some of these came from big studios, some from big directors, some from me, and some from other hired writers. I gave the screenplays a name, and I include a brief synopsis, as well as what ultimately led each screenplay being rejected. Let's get started. Four nights to go by them. But anyway, if you have V-Bucks. The F screenplay is the first one. Basic setup. Group of teenager troublemakers breaking into Freddy Fazbear's chaos ensures problems. Although a pretty basic setup, there were a lot of odd choices here, which only get weirder. As the story continued, the story ended with our protagonist in a secret underground animatronic factory that was designed robots for the government. Verdict. What the? Strayed way too far from the source material tossed. Okay, so I agree that this screenplay should have been tossed because in any of the FNAF games, none of the animatronics are being built for the government. They do talk about underground. Still trying to close this window. Whatever, I don't care anymore. Okay, they do talk about underground, like Sister Location is underground. So it makes sense if it was more of like a story about Purple Guy, you know, building the animatronics underground, but it just wouldn't make sense as, like, you know, him taking them to the government. So, next screenplay. The Plushies Take Manhattan screenplay. Basic setup. Plushies take Manhattan. Problems. Plushies take Manhattan. Verdict. Burned with fire. Okay, yeah, no. Is this a troll, Scott? This is either a troll or this is like a link to... It's a troll from FNAF World, because if you don't remember, if you've ever played FNAF World or seen FNAF World, if you don't know, dang it, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. If you've never seen or played FNAF World, well, if you have seen or played FNAF World, sorry, not never, that you know that in Freddy's, not space, but Freddy's, space shooter game, you know, Freddy in space, Scott's telling ideas for everything, like all of his new games, and one of them is the Plushies Take Manhattan. So I wonder if this is a joke or if this was a real screenplay. Into Freddy's after hours to retrieve a lost toy. Problems. Although sharing names of familiar characters from the series, these characters had nothing to do with their game and book counterparts. So while featuring familiar elements of the games, it seemed too lousy based on the game and lost a lot of its impact because of it. Verdict. felt like a random bag of FNAF elements with no real stakes. Meh. So I guess that would be, Charlie from the books, sneaking into the pizzeria late at night with his boys, trying to get back one of his toys. Now, I like it, but then again, I feel like this movie should base a little bit more around the games than the books. So that's just my opinion, of course. But I definitely think it should be based more about the games than the books. That's just my opinion, and it seems kind of like it seems kind of dumb that they would just go in to get a toy. I mean, I there should be a bigger stake at hand. You know what I mean? So let's jump into the straight next one. Boy. Kira, which is the writer of the book, and I both worked on three versions of the Silver Eye screenplay over, of course, about a year, trying to find the right approach to the story from the first book. Problems. These were the first attempts I made myself to write a screenplay after realizing it was going to be difficult to find someone else who understood the lore well enough to do it. Unfortunately, it also meant these screenplays suffered greatly from my inner in inexperience at writing. Even Kira with her writing exposure couldn't save them. Verdict, although these had some good elements, I ultimately decided to focus on making a screenplay from the games and not from the books. Exactly what I just talked about, the screenplay and the movie should base more off the books. Maybe you can throw in a couple references here and there in the books, but sorry about. I think it should be more based off the games. You can throw in some references in the book, is what I mean. Let's jump into the straight next one. But why do I keep saying straight next one? A kid who watches after a pawn shop finds trouble when an animatronic is brought in. It turns out Freddy's has been robbed and the animatronics were taken to different locations for sale. The other animatronics come to review the one at the pawn shop. The kid and his friends get roped into an adventure. Problem: a creative approach, but felt a little too much like a boy and his animatronic. Too much after school adventure, not enough horror. Verdict seemed like a good idea at the time. That doesn't seem that bad. I kind of get it, but it wouldn't really make sense why the different animatronics are going to talk to each other. And yeah, it doesn't seem like there's very much horror in that screenplay. And I feel like this movie should be not just entirely 20 out of 20, 10 out of 10 based off horror, but I think it should have a very good amount of horror. Enough character, Golden Freddy, as you know, like, that's his real name, so it looks like Scott is using that as the name of this screenplay, which means Cassidy is actually his real name. Nice. Basic setup. Diving deep, this screenplay packed with a lot of lore following the story of Cassidy. Now, right away, I honestly want to say that's epic. Uh, of course, a lot of lore around the Golden Freddy. Problems: spanning multiple time periods, following multiple characters, and featuring lore from multiple games. This was pretty saturated to a fault. It may have been satisfying to the most hardcore fans, but it would have left the majority of people confused and lost. Hey, wait, maybe this was the most accurate screenplay. Verdict: ultimately more of a visual encyclopedia than a movie. This was just even to me, satisfying even to me out. So, what it's pretty much saying is this would have been like kind of like a life story walkthrough on Golden Freddy, which I mean technically I wouldn't mind if they ever made that because Golden Freddy's my favorite character and a lot of lore, especially with like the Bite of 83 and such. But I feel like that might have too much lore for new fans who see this movie and then they're like, wait, there's games, there's books, I want to learn more about this. Like, I feel like that's too much lore to kick off the first movie. Maybe if they make multiple movies and then start bringing in like that kind of stuff would make more sense. But yeah. A new town, kid finds Freddy's. Hilarity enthusiast. Problem. One of the problem is in creating a modern day story with an old Freddy setting is finding a way to connect the protagonist to the restaurant, finding a reason for them to be there, and finding a reason for them to stay. The problem here was that the reason for the kid to go to Freddy's and have misadventures was too combined and too forced. Verdict: not a bad setup, but it just didn't work. If I didn't care about the characters, then there's a good chance no one else will either. Pass. This was good to be the screen. This was going to be the screenplay for a while because it didn't have any serious flaws. I ultimately just decided it wasn't good enough, though. Okay, so I mean, it kind of makes sense. If you haven't seen the Pals, you should go watch their FNAF videos. Their first video, they get dropped off as kids at the, they do Minecraft FNAF. They stopped the series, but you should go watch their series anyways to understand more of what I'm talking about. They drop off the kids at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza because they want to go try to eat. So I feel like this could be the story where, like, the mother drops off the kid, kind of basing off, like, and then the kid disappears, or the kid sees the animatronics do something, or sees Purple Guy do something, and just like go on from there. You know what I mean? I mean, that would have been okay, but yeah, that wouldn't have been that bad, I guess. The Ghost Trackers screenplay. Basic setup: a group of amateur ghost trackers sneak into the abandoned Freddy's. Problem: although a very common sense setup for this sort of movie, the problem again atrocious about how to give these characters a connection to Freddy's itself. What ended up happening was too much of the story went to their own backstories and their hardships, and it took the spotlight away from the story of Freddy's. Verdict: a strong connection between protagonist and Freddy's was needed. Lesson learned. So this is like ghost trackers are trying to track the ghosts of the kids. I feel like that could be a good idea, and that could be a part of the movie we're getting. But I feel like they shouldn't base it off all the ghost trackers' backstories and talk more about FNAF, you know what I mean? And that's what Scott's saying is the problem with this one. So yeah, it makes sense why this one didn't make it. Variation. This one involved the Funtime animatronics, underground ball pit tunnels, and the marionette out for revenge. So this one would be more of a sister location one. Nice. Problems. As some other screenplays ventured too far into adventure, this one went too far into action. Right? That's what. Okay. Verdict. Too all over the place with too many characters doing too many things. And there's a lot of characters, which makes it nice. But the problem is that there's too many characters doing too many different things, which is a problem because it'd make the movie either too long or too hard to catch up with. You know what I mean? Like if you, it would be like one of those shows or movies where if you miss 10 minutes, you're screwed pretty much. Got to rewind it, which most people do rewind movies when they miss them. But it just like makes sense why this one wasn't chose. But I mean, that would be pretty cool to see all the different animatronic models and such. So yeah. This before. Problems. Actually, this is a good mix. It has the best pieces of all the previous screenplays. Not really any problems here. All the right characters and all the right motivations, all the right stakes. Verdict: yeah, we're going with this one. It's fun, it's scary, and it's a great central story. So it looks like we're going with the Mike screenplay. So about Mike, Purple Guy's son, the older son, the one that accidentally put his little brother's head in the Fredbear and nom 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 nom, bite of 83 right there, bite. All right. So on to the bad news. The bad news is that there won't be any more screenplays to add to this list since we're officially making the Mike screenplay. Filming starts in spring of 2021. Let's go, boys. accidentally put his brother's face in the Fredbear's mouth, So I really wonder which approach of Mike they're gonna choose, like about him burning down Fredbear's fry, or him getting scooped and then Enter taking his body, or maybe seeing his dad as Springtrap, or the Bite of 87-3, whatever. So yeah, guys, this could be a very good movie. I think hopefully it's not just scary, and hopefully it's not too less scary. It just needs to be right in the middle with the scary and such. So I hope you guys are excited. They are filming this in the spring of 2021. So my predictions of being it out is like summer of 2022. Maybe October of 2022, and maybe we could even do spring of 2022. So like a year right after filming, but that's just some guesses I have. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below if you guys are excited for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.